Dune, a long-awaited movie that is an adaptation from a novel, is directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it stars a lot of people. I'm just going to leave the photo up there for now just so you can get the scope of just a few names that are even on this movie. Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Stellan Skarsgård, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, just to name a few people. And this is a star-studded cast. Basically, the plot of this movie is the son of this family who is entrusted to kind of lead this, entourage of people to one of the planets that has a very valuable source, the most valuable source in all of the universe, basically, in spice. And as that happens, a bunch of mayhem happens with different republics and all sorts of other people try to chime in. And I have to say, this was interesting. The acting throughout this entire movie is fantastic. I thought Timothée Chalamet was very, very good in the lead. I thought that, Rebecca Ferguson's a good standout. Oscar Isaac is really good too. And Jason Momoa has this brother kind of like relationship with Timothée Chalamet, which I thought was pretty cool to see. The only person that I thought was a bit of a disappointment in this movie is Zendaya. And it's not her fault at all. It's the marketing problems and just how the story kind of used her. She's really in the movie at the beginning for about 5-ish minutes, and then after that you kind of see glimpses of her in like visions and dreams, and then really don't see her until the end of the movie. And this is a long movie. It's like 2 hours and 35 minutes, I want to say. It's so when your marketing is solely based on like, hey, look, it's Zendaya and the Timothée Chalamet show, and only one of them is really in the movie for the majority of the time, really almost the entire runtime, and the other person not much, it's a bit jarring. But nevertheless, I thought everybody did a great job in this movie. Josh Brolin was really good as always. I love Josh Brolin in a lot of movies. Javier Bardem looks nothing like how I thought he was going to look. This man just has a way of like kind of like engulfing himself in any character and just really taking on the role and looking different and portraying that character. It reminds me a lot of Christian Bale, where he just puts everything he's got in the character, and you could really, just lose sight of like, oh god, that's Christian Bale, or oh god, that's Javier Bardem. Like it's amazing work that they do on this movie. Along with that, the direction of this movie I thought looked really good. The sheer spectacle and just the ambiance that this movie creates, just how like amazing it looks. It's just unfair, really. The spectacle of some of these things that happen where it's just like huge, creatures and huge like flying objects and just armies fighting at each other, and just the scope of this movie is insane to me. And I gotta say, it's one of the best parts of this movie. It just looks so damn good. And Denis Villeneuve has done it again, where he's just made a really good looking movie. Now, unfortunately for me personally, this is about where some of the riffs come in for me in this movie. I have never read any of the Dune material, and I think that this is an actual cool thing for me to do because, yeah, I have no bias against this movie whatsoever. It could have completely bombed and I couldn't have cared because, I'm not attached to the material that is from it all, or it could skyrocket and, cool, movies make money, that's what happens. But I was very interested to see it just because of the cast and the amount of hype that people were giving it because of the source material. And with that being said, I saw a lot of people were very happy with this. I don't think I was too much. The exposition in this movie feels very heavy-handed. There's a lot of stuff that's got to, be thrown at you constantly, and it just feels like my hand's being held the entire time. Honestly, there's so many scenes where I was just like, okay, like we're just gonna continue with this and keep going and going and going. And I don't know, sometimes it drew me out of the movie. Even with the stunning looks of the movie, when we revert back to just like these scenes of just exposition heavy stuff, I felt it was detached a little bit. And this movie is incomplete in a way. This is part 1. It even states it right at the beginning of the movie. I don't think it's on any of the posters that I know of for sure, but the beginning of the movie, when the title drops, it says part 1. So this is most definitely an incomplete story, but I also feel like, even if it is or it isn't, like, I don't want to watch a 5 hour cut of a movie, and that's what it probably would feel like if the second movie ever comes out. When they do part two, they're going to be like, hey, well, this is like a complete story, so if you watch it back to back, it'll make a lot more sense. It sure probably does, but not a lot of people are going to want to see that. Hence, the Snyder cut that people wanted for a long time, and that's 4 hours long, and I still haven't seen it because I can't find the time of day to watch that kind of stuff. Dedicating 4 hours of my life to something like that, it's a little too much. It's not all bad, I will say. There are stuff in here that I do like with it, but the general, assumption to me and the general feel that I have from this movie is just it's really heavy-handed in a lot of stuff. There is a lot of things that they gotta throw out on the screen, and unfortunately, it just feels like way too much. And on top of that, I've seen people being like, this is like the age of the new sci-fi, like this big blockbuster sci-fi movie, almost in a way of Star Wars, and I do not think it's anywhere near that. I don't think it ever will be anywhere near that. Star Wars is one of the biggest and most profitable franchises of all time. Like, comparing this to that now is kind of disrespectful in a way. Like, it's been out for what, a few days? Like, this movie doesn't have that reputation yet. And I get why they want to say that, because this movie does look really good. And from what I've heard, that the source material is really good. But let it play out, please. Like, Doctor Sleep, I feel like, as I point this way, Doctor Sleep, I feel like, is a great movie. But I'm not going to call it a classic yet. I feel like it has the potential to be. But also, The Shining wasn't a classic when it first came out. It got nominated for Razzies. It took many years for that to become a classic, That Dune, I feel like, is the same way. It's like, just don't rush it, like, let it simmer for a while. It'll cultivate a following. It'll probably draw in a bunch of people to really boost its value. But let's pump the brakes a little bit on that, shall we? I'm gonna give Dune 3.5 stars. Thank you guys so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon on here. I will also be posting more podcasts and reviews for wrestling shows on the Andrew Paul Show. You'll find those links down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all next time.